Hi, today I'm making a video for other people like me who are just ordinary band directors that are considering, wondering, curious about what the pBone is like. So today I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison between this standard Yamaha M1 student trombone that I pulled off my own shelves here in my band room and this red pBone. I'm going to be using both standard pBone mouthpiece that comes with the pBone. It's a plastic. And this is a Vincent Bach 12C. It's been painted red. We do that to mark our school mouthpieces so that the kids can have their name on it so we don't mix up mouthpieces. I have no emotional attachment to pBones versus not pBones. I simply started to think about pBones in a couple of different lights, and I had the opportunity to try this pBone. I don't own it, for a week or so, and as I was looking online, I was getting frustrated that no one that I could find was doing a basic side-by-side comparison of tone quality, ease of play, features, and things like that. So that's what I'm going to do for you today. Okay, so the initial impression that one gets when you're playing the pBone versus regular, at least my impression, is that each of the shelves, so to speak, or your overtones, or your harmonics, or whatever school of thought you came from, brass players know what I'm talking about. Your shelves, they're wider, they're more forgiving, and they're easier to hit. On the other hand, since they're easier to hit, there's a little bit more flexibility within the shelf itself for intonation. There's a pretty wide range in there before you break. Okay? So, as I go into the high register, to be quite honest, it felt a lot easier. It maybe lacked some of the complexity of sound, but it was a lot easier. Okay, that was easier to do than it is on the brass trombone. Here again. felt like between the two, and again, I'll just be blunt, the brass instrument felt like a brass instrument. It has these tendencies that sometimes you have to fight. This the shelves being a little narrow sometimes, wants to crack, and it has this edgy tone quality that sometimes some students, some people find hard to control. The pBone is the opposite problem. It's this warm, kind of mellow feel to it in all registers, in all tessituras. It has this warm feel, but it's always warm. It's hard to create this edge that sometimes you need, sometimes you want. Not blasting, of course, but this edge, this very penetrating tone that maybe you need in a jazz band situation or even a soloist situation, or of course pep band, marching band, and all that other stuff where you need that power. You get the same volume. I don't think it carries as well on the pBone, but it's definitely a warmer sound. It is very easy to play soft on the pBone. The pBone is very easy to play soft on all registers. It doesn't feel like it's fighting me. I don't feel like I have to work really, really hard. So there's that. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what if you put a regular mouthpiece on a pBone? You can certainly do that. The receiver is just a standard shank receiver. It isn't an extra wide or a narrow or some nonsense like that. You don't need an adapter. There's the Bach. It's sitting in there nice and pretty. And what's interesting is you get some of that edginess back when you use the middle mouthpiece. You get some of that back. It still has that mellow sound. And so, for kicks and giggles, let's take the plastic mouthpiece, stick it on the Yamaha. It's going to do what a plastic mouthpiece usually does. It changes your tone quality. Now, as far as the features of the pBone that I'm finding interesting is, like I think I already pointed out, it's not all plastic. It's got these metal ends on it. And you can't dent these things. That's always been my irritation. I think every other band director of junior high and elementary kids, even high school, is that one ding and brand new horn scrapes like it's 50 years old. Well, you can't ding these. You know, you can if you beat them enough, you can probably crack them. Nothing is indestructible. You know, some people say that pBones are indestructible. Hogwash, I think if you beat anything hard enough, you're going to break it. But it seems to be very durable. They're very, very light. The other thing I noticed, it doesn't have, like this attaching screw here. It is held together purely by friction. And it's probably really hard to see this on the video, but it's got a little part of a tube in there that also creates friction in there, and you just stick them together and you kind of wiggle them around, and it holds together as well as any trombone. That screw comes loose anyway. It's got a lock here, spit valve. It has everything that trombone would have. Now, why am I looking at pBones? Well, here's my motivation. In my program, kids are responsible, parents are responsible for getting their own instrument. my kids have the standard, blessings, the Bachs and the Yamahas and such Gemeinharts and things like that. But I always have some kids that money's a big issue. They can't afford it. Money's an issue with every school. I happen to be very fortunate in the school district that's very supportive of its music programs, but even that has its limits. And so I'm looking at pBones as something to keep so that during marching band season, during pep band, the students' horns aren't banged around too much and it causes extra wear and tear, extra repairs. One little whack and you got to send it in to get fixed. And for those kids that, Mr. T, I forgot my horn today, I'm really sorry, and now I have a horn for them. As far as the cost goes, I think it's pretty standard knowledge that the pBone is less expensive overall than a regular trombone. I have talked with a few professionals that they play on these professionally. And I know there's still a lot of stigma. There's a lot of purists out there that really turn their noses up on trombones. And at this point, I'm going to preface all of this by saying I'm not a trombone player. I'm a trumpet player. And when they came out with the plastic trumpets, I really turned my nose up too, because I heard some videos and I wasn't terribly thrilled. To be quite honest, I'm liking this as an alternative to school-owned student horns that you would keep for pep band, marching band, spare instruments. Would I put this in the hands of a kid auditioning for a scholarship? No, I don't think I would. Would I send a kid who had other options to state solo contest with one of these? If I could help it, probably not. If they're auditioning for a scholarship, no. All state, no. But to be quite honest, there's nothing wrong with it. It does have a different tone quality. Some might say that has some balance issues or some blending issues with other brass instruments. That can be true. Mutes fit in here just fine. I think that's something you'd have to work out. If you use your expertise, use your common sense, but side by side between a brass trombone and the plastic trombone, this pBone here, I certainly see room for this in my program. Do I have a preference for the brass? Yes. Is that a prejudice on my part? Maybe. I didn't grow up on a plastic trumpet. But there's one annoying aspect of the pBone. And there are some that say, oh, you can overcome this with this oil and that oil. It's this. I don't know if you can hear that. That scraping is not a misalignment. That's the metal on plastic. And there's people who say, oh, you use just plain old trombone oil. And I used plain old trombone oil, and it gummed this thing up so bad that I had to flush it. Well, I tried the Rapid Comfort. Same problem. It just gummed it up. It doesn't bond with the plastic. And the inside of this is plastic, whereas this is metal. And there's no bonding taking place there. The chemistry is all wrong. When I use just plain water spritzed on it, that did help it some, but it doesn't last very long. As far as the mouthpieces go, there's nothing wrong with this mouthpiece. Not a thing wrong with it. A 5th grader, 6th grader, 7th grader isn't going to notice the difference. We get the purists out there that, the closer it is to the sound source, the more important it is, whereas I totally agree. It's not that big a deal at this age. If I were to own that, would I play on this? Probably not. I would be playing on my preferred mouthpiece, which actually isn't this. So, do I think it'd be really handy to have 2 or 3 of these guys sitting on a shelf, waiting to be pulled out for one thing or another? Do I think the colors look really cool in a pep band situation? Sure they do. And before people get too thing about the colors, and I'll flash over here. Bands have been using white fiberglass sousaphones for as long as I've been alive. So the precedent is there, gang. What's it like overall? As a trumpet player, as a clarinet player, I would equate it to this. There's a difference between listening to a wood clarinet and a good plastic clarinet. The player feels the difference. The listener can hear some difference. But in overall sound, you put them side by side and you close your eyes, you're hearing clarinets. I'm a trumpet player, I play on a Catois Evolution 4. I can pick up a Bach TR-300, play the same thing. I would feel an enormous difference. The listener may hear some difference, but overall you're still hearing a trumpet. It's no different between the pBone and the regular trombone. I picked this up, it sounds like what you expect to sound like. I picked this up, it sounds like a trombone with just some different nuance, a different color, pardon the pun, but different color to the sound. It's obviously a trombone. And if you pick it up and play this, you're going to feel the difference. The listener's going to hear some difference. Maybe not have a lot of adjectives that are going to help them, but in overall, you're still hearing two trombones. Some have equated to the difference, it seems, between a cornet and a trumpet. I'll buy that. Or the difference between a double French horn and a marching French horn. You know, you're still hearing a French horn sound, but there's color variations and there's texture differences between the two. Know that, and if there are any other questions that I can answer, feel free to put them in the comment spaces.